Hey people, my last video was labeled unfit for human consumption within the first 6 hours I posted it, and that's a good thing. It lets me know that I'm hitting where they don't want me to, and those little pennies mean nothing. The only reason I monetize them is just to see what they think about them. When I get my next movie posted, I'd take the monetization off of it anyway. I don't want people to have to suffer through the commercials. So I learned this trick from this book God Man about 20 years ago. I read this book. It's a real good book. It kind of sounds like Zionist brainwashing at first, and I believe that's just to counter all the years of brainwashing that you've already had. So I learned this trick, and it works with everything. You use it with all your major decisions or everyday decisions. But the rest of my family is all holy rolling Christians, and Christmas Day about 20 years ago, I went to church with them, and I suffered through a couple hours of listening. And the only thing I really learned is if you dress up, you put on a suit, you can get a lot of mindless people to listen to whatever you say, even if you really didn't say anything. So the way this trick works, every time you have a decision, you just get you a blackboard and post all the good things and the bad things. And I did this for my family, being I was still dressed up. They was paying attention to me. And I asked them about the good things about Christmas, and they really needed some help. They couldn't come up with much, but it was presents and the Jesus birthday and the trees and the family and food, and they started to catch on right there. One of them said, the food ain't really a good thing about Christmas. She was watching her weight there. And then the bad things about it, and they really never thought about that, and so I had to help them out a lot with that too. But Christmas is the highest rate of depression, highest rate of suicides, highest rate of traffic fatalities, obesity, home accidents, people cutting fingers off with their new slicer, highest worry, stress, drug sales, jealousy, the death toll, and fuel consumption. And you just write down all the things about your decision, all the good things and the bad things about it. And then you change your board over and replace them all. And you just put them under a different heading this time, underneath factual truths and mystical beliefs. Like I say, this works with every decision you have. And it didn't take long for them to notice that all the bad things about it were ending up in the factual truths comments, and the good things about it were ending up in the factual truths comments too. But then they were noticing that it's really not that good to cut all those trees and to burn all that fuel to ship them around the nation for a mystical belief. 9 months before I was born, there was a tri-state power outage, a blackout for 3 days, because they overloaded the Niagara power plant. Some people said it was a UFO that landed on it and sucked all the power out, but it was most likely all the Christmas lights being burnt in the tri-state area, in Connecticut, in New York, and in the other state up there, I don't know. I was going to bring my son up north to show him some snow one time, and got to thinking how stupid I would feel if we both froze to death in the truck on the side of the road. I don't care for it. So let me tell you some facts about the Jesus birth story that's as old as the Egyptian creation tales. And you can see here this letter B, this Arabic letter B, that's the barge, the barak. And you can see that's Ra in it. That's the bara in the beginning. And so in the beginning there was a watery abyss, a chaos of none. None is the NU is the cycles connected, the circle of cycles. And out of none arose the Ben, a pyramidal shape. It was Autem. He got a hard on. And it was Immaculate Conception. He was said to take the seed into his mouth, and he sneezed, Ashu, and out came Shu, Ishu. And so when the Hebrews tell the story, you know that they have to exaggerate everything, and it's Yeshua. And in the Greek, it's just I-E-S-O-U, Eshu. And my mama said, you know, she grew up French, and she used to tell us stories and jokes, and we wouldn't laugh. And she had this saying that it gets lost in translation. But this isn't getting lost in translation, because the ancient people who wrote these stories were the Brits. They were English speakers, and it was just all the other the goyim that didn't know that language. And so this spirit Eshu, he was a spirit of the cool wind, and that was when the winter came, and that's where the sneeze come from. The cool winds blew in on December 25th. So up on the top there, that's the title on that ancient Torah I got. That's the title to the book of Genesis, and that's on the right end. That's the S of the secret, so it's like a Jed pillar. SPR, the secrets, the mouth, and the head. The secrets to open first, and then that's Moshe. That's the original spelling of Moses. That was a pharaoh in Egypt, a pharaoh writer, and much artwork about him. The word Moses in the Bible isn't Moses. It's missing the O. It's M-S-H-E. And then you see the bara and the shit there in the two different scripts. They're not different languages, they're just different scripts. So the word that they give the meaning Moses in the Bible is missing the O. It's just the M-S-H-E. And it means the waters to consume life. It means the falling tide. When the tide's rising, it brings all the fish in, and then the waters to consume life is the tides going out. And this is how they work their magic. When the tides would come in, when they got to the peak, they would stretch a net across the river and let the god of the tides do the work for them to bring all their fish in. And this was written in many there's many different books in this one book, many teachings, and they all work the same principles. And you feed as the tide's rising, as the moon's getting full, and then when the moon starts to wane, that's the tide's falling, and that's when you start collecting. And that's when they realize that all of Earth's creation works with these tides. It's all affected by the moon, and your brain is affected by the moon. And they would set up these holidays in order to suck the life out of you. And they would adjust all these holidays with the moon. And so it was a lunar counter they used, and that's how they kept their power over the people. I found this yesterday, and it looked like a real good place to help explain this. It's the Hebrew on the left and the Greek on the right. It's Genesis 5. It's called Genealogy of Adam. And you know, when the Greeks, when they copied this, they were just interested in the drugs, it looked like. That's the words are spaced between the letters a little different. But we'll start on the left side, and it says the ZE. Then that's the tool. When that E follows a letter like that, it means that it's talking about. It means that that letter is the picture. It was a tool, a knife, a blade, or a plow. And then it says the Seper, and that's the one they give the meaning of book, or the secrets to open first is what I call it. And then you know this was written Egyptian style, because you know how the Egyptians, they'll write something, always say it twice. They'll put the picture and then they'll spell it out again. So we see it says the tool of Seper, and then it says the tool, the TULDT, the tool through the writings, the tool through the seals, the Tauat, and then we see on the Greek side it says arte, the knowledge, connect the writings divided of the wall of Byblos. And so and that Seper, the tool of Seper, was this cylinder seal, and it was in the city of Seper. And when the Greeks wrote it, they were looking at the hieroglyphs, and at that time, that hieroglyph meant Babylon to them. It didn't mean Seper. It was a picture. It wasn't spelled out in words. And so they wrote Byblos. And then it says the Genesis, in the Genere of Zeus. I guess Zeus was the god of time, because what that means in the Genere of the fires are to consume life. The OS on the end means the hieroglyph to consume life at the time. And so on the Hebrew side, it says the tool through the writings of Adam. And Adam was the knowledge of the dome, the knowledge of the calendar. And we know that because he left his signature on this ancient Adam's calendar here. And then on the Greek side, it says anthropon, the knowledge of the cycles, to collect the first end, to open the end of the cycle. So what this tells me is in the land of Seper was the first place to start recording history, because they knew it was cycles and it would come back around again. Then the second line on the Hebrew, the Kunasses of Egypt, it says the bayou waters, the bayou the bayou waters in the first knowledge of the gods of the calendar. And then on the Greek side it says the H, the wall of the divided Marah. Marah is waters, the water of life's first knowledge. It's where you get your word marine from. All the ancient seas were the Marah, the Marie. And then it says the potions, and that's the pictures to see, make, divide. The fires are to consume the cycles, and it evolved into our word potions. It's kind of more like recipes, to see the theos, to see the gods of the light of the calendar. That TON, meaning light, means the light bulb that goes off in your head when you get an idea or understanding. And then on the Hebrew side, the third line, it says bid mut, in the D of the waters, the blue D, in the connected writings, the little IT at the end, the connected writings. And so that's why on the Greek side it starts with the cat, to give the knowledge of the writings of the of the ei, the works to k, to give the ona, the oni, the female, the vagina, of the one God. You see that theo is now spelled without the s. The theos above is the collected life hieroglyph, and the theo underneath there without the s, that's the collected life to see connected. That's when you're picking out the one set of writings for the potions of Aton, to learn the writings or to learn the connected light of the arson. That's the male. The male triangle is the arson, the fires. And on the Hebrew side, that was in the bid mut, the blue D, in the D of the waters, to connect the writings of the gods, the Elohim of Oshi. And you can see that that's given the same as potions all the way down 4 times. It's potions on the right. And on the left, it's Oshi, to see, consume life. And that's usually what they would call a woman. And when they put that O-S-H-E, it's usually has to do with the women in the Bible. But it means the same as the falling tides, to consume life. And then to learn the writings connected of the Zakir, the tool to fold first. And so the first tool to fold was the red triangle, was the hard-on of Atem. And then the unique ba. And that's just all wrong. That's unique is a change word, because it says in the connected cycles to come after in life. So they're not unique, it's a cycle. It's a connected cycle. And the Baram, and the first knowledge from, and the way brick, to make the house first fold. The first fold to make the house is to make the brick. Then on the Greek side, it says the arson, the key, thula, the arson, the knowledge of the first to consume the cycles, and the thula, to collect the divided lu. Lu is a word for helper or slave. The bind, connected. And then the potions, the recipe to learn the writings of the connected fires, the writings of the stars, or the writings of the constellations. And then for the brick, they have the eulogy, the eulogy sin. And that's and like I say, they were only interested in pulling a 1 or 2 meanings out of these writings. And the original Hebrew Egyptian writings, they give many knowledges in the one book. But that eulogy is the connected bind to see the G, the foot wall, the earth wall, the earth to consume the seed, and that was the lower writings of the seals of the potions, the secret seals, what were called the seals of Solomon. And so the Egyptians called those writings the brick. And next line it says, and then ATM. That TM is the same as it is today. It's the trademarks. Learn the trademarks. Learn the seals from Vakara to make the second knowledge, to come after the first knowledge. Learn the writings of the Shemim. That's different from the heavens. That's the spirit waters of Adam, to learn the dome in the biome, in the bayou waters of the brim, the house first to learn from. And then you see at the end, it's got that S, that was a seal that went along with these writings, and it's not there anymore. It was picture seals and pictures. It was all added. And then on the Greek side, it says and the eulogies, and then the atus, and that was a picture of Thoth, and what it meant is to learn the writings of the connected fires, to learn the writings of the constellations, and then that key is to connect the eponymous. You remember the keys in the book of Amos, the code from the other side. That was Ursa, the Big Dipper, and it was the hippopotamus to the Egyptians. To see the writings, to see the name of the connected writings of the calendar, of the divided waters, of the potions, to learn the writings of the constellations. So in all the ancient artwork, Eve is spelled EVA. And we don't see her but 2 places in the Bible, and we see her, it's spelled HUE. And that's not Eve, that's Hugh. And that's to divide the connected life. And you see here this top is to connect the atom, to connect the calendar. And then you see that yada. You hear old Jewish men talking, and one's trying to interrupt the other. He says yada, yada, yada. And he thinks it means I know. But it means to make through, to see, to learn the writings of the hue. And so the word Eve, EVE, that means the connected life. And you'll see that on your house. It's the spot between the wall and the roof is the eaves. It's at the spot between the day and the night is the eaves, but the space in between your days is the nights, the eaves. And you can see this hue means exactly that, to get the hue, the color for the calendar, so you can select the right time. So Eve does come up in Genesis 2:11. That's right there at the beginning of the creation of man. And it's given the meaning of a pronoun. And most of the time it means he, she, it, that, several other meanings. Here at Genesis 2:10, it gives us some good clues. We can see that on the Hebrew side, the Garden of Eden is spelled from Odin, the one-eyed god, Odin. And we can see down there at the garden on the Greek side, it says the Parades to make the light. And down there at 11, we see the word Eve, meaning it. And on the Greek side, it's otus, and that's the hieroglyph of widget. It's the evil dressings of the eye that the fallen angels had taught man. And what it's saying is learn the code of widget to decode the parodies in all the artwork. All the artwork you see on the walls in Egypt, all the beheadings and all the creatures and the huge people, those are all parodies. You have to decode them. Doesn't mean that there was giants walking around. It doesn't mean that men built the pyramids. It doesn't mean that you can float a boat with a piano sitting on the front of it and play it with a foot. It doesn't mean they believed in all those gods. What you're looking at here is you're looking at Elohim. He's sitting on the power, the A, and he is the bind. He's shaping it in the shape of the L, the Hebrew L, and he's got the life in one hand and his works from the other. And when the Greeks decode this, they call that a collected life hieroglyph. They knew it meant something. A different hat, all the difference in the chairs meant something. It was a collected life. And then the Lord, that's to make the connected life. That's to make the Eve. And you see on the Greek side, they call it a karyos, the hieroglyph to give the connected of the first works. And that's the Egyptians call that a cartouche. They call that a karyos. And then all the other writings in between that, that's the seeds. A karyos is a small representation you put in your karyos cabinet. It's a small representation of the god, And they're spelled different. They're always spelling the names different because it was different lords. The god didn't do one thing, did many things. You had to go to the right lord, to the right Kyrios. Now as for this Israel, there was no land of Israel. That means to make consume the first knowledge to bind. And that means to cereal. You'll see it, the king of Israel is spelt milk and cereal. M-L-K, milk and cereal. And that means to make consume the first knowledge to bind. It's as in numeral and serial, the serial number. To serialize all the plants, all the numbers. Not necessarily numbers, but the signs that went everything. Everything had a sign to learn. And the wedding, that means to connect the D's. And the first ones to wed, they left it in their name. If you learn this ancient language, you can learn a lot of our history. Just by studying the ancient names of places, you'll learn a lot. We can see that here in Eridu. That's the first to make the D's connect, to make the wedding, to connect the D's. Eridu. That's where your Jewish star come from. Alright people, so don't let them stress you out over this Christmas. They're working you. They understand the tides, the ebb and the flow, and they're working you. They're trying to stress you out. Lose all your stress. Lose all your fear. There's nothing to fear. There is no death. You live forever. You've been here forever. You live forever. They try to create these fears. I notice I'm not getting a lot of licks on my serpent video. I don't know if the snakes are scaring you. You have to lose all the fears. They use the fear to catch you in the light trap. And when you pass on, if you got any fears, they're going to use them and they're going to chase you back into the light. You're going to be stuck right back here again. Alright folks, God is love, God is light, God is knowledge. Good day.